Welcome to the Deal by Me podcast, where we ask guests to tell us your story. Hello there, this is Dr. James W. Smith, your host. We seek to transform lives by encouraging and inspiring. Someone encouraged and inspired this host, a former lawyer, gambler, inmate, and his life was transformed. The same can happen to you. So when you listen to it in the Deal by Me podcast, please support this podcast with a donation or a monthly recurring amount for as little as $3. If you're viewing any of the podcasts on YouTube, please subscribe. To supporters of this podcast, we say thank you. Check out my encouraging, inspiring, and transforming books. I'm available for speaking engagements, in-person and virtual seminars. So please contact me through my website, www.dealbyme.com. I have with me Brian E. Arnold. We call him Dr. B, who is the author, who is the creator of the Transformative Journey to Freedom podcast and program, a powerful experience aimed at those who feel stuck and are ready to move forward in their lives. Dr. B has a wealth of experience guiding others through personal and professional breakthroughs, focusing on areas like faith, finances, trust, health, and identity. He brings a unique combination of humor, wisdom, and practical strategies to every conversation, making him a sought after speaker and mentor. We're going to have a good time with Dr. B today, and I'm grateful to have him on as a guest. And so we want to welcome him to the Deal by Me podcast. Dr. B, thank you so much for coming on and being a part of this discussion this today. Would you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're located as interviews been taking place?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on. I just every opportunity that I get that we can talk about how we serve others. I have a prayer every single day that says, "Dear Lord, give me the wisdom to do the things you put me on this earth to do in a way that pleases you and serves others." Now that didn't come from me; that came from Solomon. So, but I will take it. One of the wisest men that ever lived in the Bible, and so. But that is my prayer every day: is how can I inspire? How can I encourage? How can I help people? I say my desire is to help people become the person they need to be in order to do what God put them on this earth to do. And
Oh,
so, as a grandfather, as a husband, as a dad, as a just a community servant, I enjoy the opportunity to see what I can do. You talked about our Journey to Freedom podcast, which is this year in 2024. I'm interviewing 100 Black men who've been successful in their own right. As we're recording this podcast, we got about a month left of this year, and I'm at 90 done podcasts that I've done this year. And so just some inspiring stories from people who have been able to just transform their lives into to being the example in any example that I can be. And as you mentioned, I'm an author, and I've written a couple books now on one that is called There Is No Tiger, and it's about overcoming overthinking, which is what a lot of us do so much. We try to control a future that doesn't even exist.
hmm.
And then I did one on decision formula that'll come out at the end of this year. Excited. I'm going to do a goal setting workshop about doing things that you can control on December 31st. And whoever wants to come to it, it's a free thing, but we're going to hit some goals next year.
Okay. Well, you sharing too much here. Now, let me
All
get
right, I'm sorry.
let me ask you a couple of questions because we want to keep this thing rolling. And
Got it.
I read I read your program, your profile, so I know you got a whole lot to share. You know, Dr. B has done a whole lot of stuff, and great program and great podcasts and all of this. But I want to, just talk about some things that I think would be helpful to listeners. You know, you 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 wrote right the book. There's a tiger. There is no title, I guess I should say. And you got another one, the decision formula. So my question to you is, what inspired you to write these books, and what do you hope readers take away from them?
Great. One of the biggest things that as I go through my life and think of what it is that I've been coaching track now for 38 years. And the athletes that I worked with and the students that I worked with as a professor, the things that kept coming to me of issues in their lives beyond schoolwork or beyond what we're working on. When I thought about anxiety and I thought about overthinking, or it comes from my own life, it comes from my kids, it comes from my wife, it comes from me personally going, wow, why am I overthinking this? Why am I spending so much time thinking that these things are going to happen and they never do? And I realized looking back, I spent hours and hours and hours worrying about something that's never going to happen. And why do we do it? And as I begin to study it and understand it a lot better, realize this isn't just my issue, it's a lot of people's issue. And if I could help just one person read the book and get something out of it, then I know that their lives are going to be better as a result of it.
Dr. B, you're excited. I mean, I just like the way you talk. I can feel your motivation, your inspiration. You're just on top of it. And I've done podcasts now. I'm in about 2 years now. Uh, when I finish with you, I think I'm be about 210 that I've done. So I'm excited. I like doing them. I've constantly asked myself how long I'm going to do them, but every time I do one, I get more excited. Excited talking to you. You're just an awesome guy. I can feel your motivation. I can feel it in you. So, you know, tell us this. What is the biggest misconception that people have about success? You obviously you do it. You're coaching, you do speaking, and how do you address that in your coaching and when you speak to folks? Because they want to know how you get there, how you get to where you are.
Yeah, here's what I say. The biggest thing that stops people from being successful is themselves. It's their own beliefs in what is possible and what they can do. One of the themes that's come out in our podcast is, especially for Black men, is saying, I needed to see somebody doing whatever it is that I'm trying to do and being successful at it. I don't know why that's a thing. I know even for me, when I was, well, first time before I became a professor, when I was in my 20s, I looked around the campus and going, how many Black professors are at this university that they're bringing me in to teach? And how do they do it? And how are they working? And it was just so important. And I think I was my own worst enemy because of this, whether it's overthinking or it's just that we somehow believe that we're not enough. That, if I were to try this, somehow I'm going to fail. Not realizing that failure is the impetus. It is what allows you to succeed. You see Michael Jordan. He says, you miss 100% of the shots that you never take,
Mm-hmm.
right? And he said the reason I have succeeded is because I have failed over and over and
Mm-hmm.
over. How many game-winning shots has he taken that he's missed that final shot?
Mm-hmm.
Because he's willing to fail. And there's so many folks that want to be successful. Sometimes they just don't want to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
I can't
Mm-hmm.
help you there if you're not willing to do the work that it takes.
Uh,
But on the other part of it, I think it's this game that we play that somehow that we're not able to do it. And if we would just get out there and try and put together some things and get around people, associations is everything. The people
well,
we
some people do feel stuck now, in position. So how do you help individuals move from feeling stuck to finding, their freedom in their personal and professional lives, because sometimes they just feel like they can't go any further. I'm here. That's me. I'm just stuck and I can't get any further. What do you say to them?
This is great. There is a in this vernacular we say a hack, right? We say there is one thing that you do, a key, something that a person who is stuck can do that I would say 101% of the time will work. And what it is changing the people that you spend your time with. When people are stuck, I kind of ask, who's your circle of friends? Who are the 5 people that you hang around with and get advice from and talk to all the time? And inevitably, they're usually the smartest person in that group. And I'm here to tell you, if you're the smartest person in the group of people that you're around, you're in the wrong room. You need to get into rooms where people have vision, where people have passion, where people who are doing stuff. You need to seek them out. You need to find mentors. You need to find people that are doing the thing that you think you might want to do, and you may not want to do it. It may be something you
Right.
say, I don't feel like doing that. After you learn that it was, but right now, there's so many people who want to be cooks, right? Barbecue chefs and that kind of stuff. I just talked to a gentleman yesterday. He's got a barbecue sauce. He's got some spices out there now. He's got some other stuff. That's the guy, if I want to cook barbecue, that
Hmm.
he's selling barbecue sauce all over the country. I want to get to know him. I want to find out what he did, where he's at, how
Hmm.
he's doing it. That's how you get unstuck. You get around,
Okay.
you get away from the people that have been holding you back all this time.
That's well said. That's awesome. That's all I can say. That's just awesome. You know, I heard you say earlier when you got started, you talk about, you were saying something about overthinking sometimes. People overthink themselves, you know. So, in your opinion, how does overthinking impact decision making? And what strategies do you recommend to overcome it?
It's, when I was thinking of when we get to this point where the anxiety takes over, because basically fear is when something real and present danger is going to jump on you. A tiger or something is going to get
Hmm.
you. That's what real fear is, right? Everything else is anxiety. And our anxiety comes from us trying to control things that we have no control of. I won a sales contest a few years ago, and I was at we were able to go out to St. Martin in the Caribbean, and things were going wrong the whole way. And so I'm thinking, what else could go wrong? We didn't get to the airport on time. The car didn't pick us up. The hotel rooms weren't there, and I'm literally overthinking. Now this is going to be. I got my sales team here. This is going to be the worst ever event time trip we ever had. And this concierge comes out from I don't know anywhere, because everybody else, the person I'm talking to now, they're getting elevated and heated. And he comes in the room and he says, "What's wrong, man?" And I'm like, I'm starting to go through all these things that are stopping me from achieving something that's going to be great for our team. And he said, I don't understand, man. He said, let me tell you something. I know you're upset, but here on the island, he said, this is where I got no tigers. There's no tigers. There's no drought. There's nobody going to eat you here. He said, here on the island, there are no problems, only inconveniences.
Love that.
And right there, it hit me
Hmm.
that I'm adding more stress and more things in my life to a situation that I can't control. Yes, it's an inconvenience and something that I don't want to do, but it doesn't mean that I have to make this the worst situation. And that I've taken that for the last 20 years and said, wait a minute, every situation I get to where I start this ruminating thing of, well, what if if I get stuck and my car goes flat, and then I'm not going to be able to pick up my kids, and then my kids are going to be mad at me for the rest of their life, and they're not going to love me, and they're going to marry people that are just like me, and then they're going to be upset, and then they're going to divorce. I mean, people go that far
Hmm.
on what could possibly happen instead of being in the moment right now and going, hey, this little thing that's happened may just be an inconvenience, or
Wow.
this thing that I want to do, the decision I want to make. 99% of decisions that you make are reversible. And
Hmm.
yet we spend so much time trying to if you're getting your leg amputated, that's your leg's not growing back. You should think about that for a while before that happens, right? But
Hmm.
if you're thinking, am I going to move from New York to Texas? Well, yeah, if you're 51% sure and you got a better job, go to Texas. Because what's the
Gotcha.
worst thing could happen? I don't like it and I move back.
Hmm.
It's not the end of the world, and yet
Mm.
we make it the
Mm.
end of the world. And so, as we're going through our thought process, a lot of the questions that we need to ask ourselves is, what is, we say this, what's the worst thing possible could happen? I'm not even going there. What's the worst thing possible to happen? Flip it around. What's the best thing that can happen?
I love that. I love that.
The
You know,
best thing that can happen if I do this.
Dr. B, you, I tell you, very, very inspiring. I've been enjoying talking with you. You got so much energy, and that's what I love about shows. You know, I was thinking about my podcast, which is about encouraging, inspiring, and transforming. And I'm sitting here thinking as I talk to you, there are listeners this podcast right now who may be feeling stuck. They to a point in their lives they just don't feel like they can go any further. Uh, I mean, it could be depression that they're into, it could be a whole lot of other stuff. You know, I pastored for 32 years before retiring. Started the podcast. Now I'm back at interim pastor at my home church where pastor died abruptly, and so I see all of this. And talking to you is so innovative today and so inspiring. What would you say to somebody who is in this mode of just feeling as if I don't know if I can go any further? They need an encouraging word. They need something that will inspire them, something that will hopefully transform them. Could you share a word to them now?
Absolutely. First thing I would say that you are God's greatest gift, and
Mm,
He loves you, and He wants you to be successful. He wants you to be happy. He wants you to have the things and the resources that have been put on this earth for you to enjoy.
mm, mm,
And what's stopping you, one is, well, I would, like I said before, the people that are you hanging around with. The other thing that's stopping you is your comparison, most likely. You're comparing your life to what's going on in your life right now to somebody else, and you probably don't know their story. One of the biggest issues that we have right now with our social media is you see people's best life. You go watch a reel, you go watch a Facebook post, you go watch, they're showing you what the best of their life is. Most of them aren't posting their day to day.
mm.
And so you got to get out. You got to get yourself around other people because relationships are why God put us on this earth. He didn't
Okay.
put you on this earth to do what you do. Like when you tell me what you do for a living, that
Hmm.
doesn't matter to me. I want to know what kind of man you are, what kind of woman you are, what you thrive on, what you love to do, who inspires you, who gets you going. Because you, my friend, right now can do whatever it is that you want to do. You have the capability. You have the people that are probably around you, not the people that you're hanging out with, because they're probably the naysayers. You know that if you've ever heard of that crab basket, for those who are crabbers, you put one crab in a basket, you have to put a lid on it because
Hmm.
the crab will just crawl out and go away. You put two crabs in a basket and you never have to put a lid on it because one crab will always bring down the other crab.
Hmm.
So think about your life right now. Who in your life do you have that's bringing you down?
Hmm.
Who in your life, when you have conversations that you're self-medicating and stuff, so you can get rid of the life you have? Well, what is it that you can do differently today that's going to change? We're coming up on a new year, right? The 2 and 25 doesn't have to be just like 2024. Or if you're watching this in the future, whatever time it is, this month doesn't have to be like last month.
I
So
got
let's
you.
start thinking about things you can do,
Hmm.
thing where you can go and what God has planned for you instead of all those things. We can't live in the past, right? The past is gone. You can't change the past. All we can do is move towards the future.
Well said. Well said. Well said. Listeners, please don't go to place because this is just dynamic. I don't know any other way to say it. And I want to give Brian the opportunity to share uh, with you how you can get his book. If you've got a website, whatever it is that he can share that will be a benefit to you, listeners. So please allow him to do that at this point. Brian, tell us a little bit about how we can get
Everything
you.
that you could need or want after listening to this that I can help you with is found on my website, which is bryanearnold.com. And it's Brian. E is in Edward. Arnold, ARNOLD.com. So my books are on that website. The podcast that I do is on that website. The motivational, 7-minute videos that I do, and I do, for the last 1,000 days, I've been, putting a 2-minute, inspirational thing out, and you can subscribe to that. What I'd say, my purpose in life is to help you become the person that you need to be in order to do the thing that God put you on this earth to do. And
Wow.
however I can help you, whether it's you just watching a whole bunch of stuff or you're communicating with me, and we're finding the right place. If I'm not the right person, I'm going to help you find somebody who is, because life is way too short for you to spend it
Mm,
not doing what you were put on this earth to do. Because when you hit that zone, when you hit that groove, when you hit and you've been doing it, life is awesome. Life is amazing.
mm. Honor, Dr. Brian E. Honor, you're awesome. I just, I'm sitting here just amazed at our conversation because you're sharing just some really, really powerful insights today. And listeners, I'm hoping you're taking it in. Dr. B,
Mhm.
how does your approach to personal development differ from traditional motivational speaking? Because I'm motivated by what you say. You're inspiring. So what makes you different? And why is that so important?
Well, there's a couple things. One is I believe personal development is just about the most important thing you can do, because the stuff you put into your mind and the mindset that you develop helps you to become that person. And so what makes me a little bit different is, do I believe in a Tony Robbins, and do I believe in Zig Ziglar and Jim Rohn and all these that have come before me?
Hmm.
Amazing speakers and can do some amazing things for your life. But if you're not that person who's ready to show up to Tony Robbins, then
Hmm.
you go to Tony Robbins and you get motivated and you get inspired and you get hyped up and you come back home and you say, now what? I don't know what to do. I don't know how to
Mm,
make it. And so where I approach it is, I want you to go to Tony Robbins. I just want you to listen to some of the stuff and create some of the habits and things that you need, so that when you go there, you can get 100% out of what he's asking you to do or what
mm,
they're saying that you need to do. Because if you were the person that could do what you want to do, you'd already be doing it. And so we always have to think about, what do I need to do with my mindset first, with who I am and the person I need to become before I can ever start doing that thing. And I mean, we want the shortcut, right? We're in a society where everything's immediate. I want tomorrow to go from not making any money from $40,000 a year. Next year, my goal is to be a millionaire. It's
mhm.
probably not going to happen, because you're not that person who knows how to make $1 million yet. You haven't become that person who has relationships that can get to $1 million. But let's start small. Let's start with the habits that you need to do right now, right away. Let's work on those things. Change your mindset by personal development, because
Mhm.
you have to have a personal development budget,
Mm.
right? You got to put some money into you, so that then your mind can turn that things that you learn how to do into more money.
Got
And
you.
folks that think that they don't need personal development, they don't need to grow, then I'm telling you, then you're going to be stuck. You're going to be stuck
Mm,
for a
mm.
long time. And when we go to that barbershop, I mean, I'll just finish with this part. That barbershop conversations that you have, we need to get more in depth on the barbershop, because you need to have better relationships with your spouse, better relationships with your kids, better relationships with the people that are around you. People are moving forward. If you know more stats about Patrick Mahomes or whoever the greatest quarterback is right now than you know about your own kids, that tells me that we need to go into a quick
Mm.
personal development workshop,
I
because
got you.
Patrick Mahomes doesn't know you,
Mm.
and you're fulfilling his dreams
Mm.
by knowing all that stuff about him. What about your dreams?
I hear you. Well said. Well said. Awesome. Awesome. What are the most common barriers you see people face in their journey to success, and how can they be broken, these barriers?
Yeah. Well, some of the barriers, are systemic, right? I'm not going to say that. you and I are both African American men, and I'm not going to say that this country has been the greatest country for Black men that the history of the world has ever seen, because
Okay.
that's simply not true. There are some barriers that have been put in place,
Hmm.
but we have more opportunity now than we've ever had in history. And how are you taking advantage of those opportunities that are out there? I do a lot with first time home buyers and getting a home, and people don't believe that they can do it. But there's all these different loans and stuff that are out there that are down payment assistance. Some of them you don't even have to pay back ever. That can get you into homes. It's just you educating yourself is a barrier, and not learning. I'll come back to associations. I'll come back to personal development. I'll come
Hmm.
back to mindset. I'll come back to the things that you could do, but somehow your belief system isn't there yet.
Hmm.
And that's probably the biggest barrier. The other barriers that are there, well, I don't make enough money. Okay, well, you don't make enough money to do what? And that's what I would like to know. And that Jim Rohn story where Jim Rohn's the his mentor said, well, how come you're not achieving your dreams? And
Hmm.
he said, well, because my company doesn't pay me enough.
Hmm.
And his mentor said, well, I bet there's other people who are making more at the company. That's just all they're willing to pay you. And you go, okay, so why is it that if you were doing the things you were doing, you would get paid more, right? If you were doing the things that could progress you, and being willing to take those risks and step out and say, first, there's an amazing God out there that wants you to be able to achieve in success, and
I got you. I hear you.
he is right
I hear
there. And you yes,
you.
where
That'd
are you
be
showing up daily, right?
exciting, exciting, very exciting, and very inspiring and motivating. You're the type of guest I've always loved having on my podcast because you are inspiring. You're inspirational, and and I wanted people to hear this kind of talk because we have, there's just so many people. That's the reason I started doing it, to encourage, to inspire, and hopefully transform lives. And I'm hoping myself to perhaps within months or so to kind of get my mind straight so I could just write a book, you know, dealing with this encouragement and inspiring and hopefully transforming lives. But you've been awesome. So, in my last question to you, if you could just give one piece of advice to someone starting their journey and towards self-improvement, what would it be?
My advice would be get started. Do
Oh,
something today that you've never done before. You,
that's,
you can hear me now, and you hear me talking, and it sounds like I have
uh,
it together. I was a special ed student that was told that I couldn't read or write, and I was not going to amount to anything.
mhm,
Uh, but I got started.
mm,
I've been able to write a book. Well, I use technology to help me write a book, right?
mhm,
I can talk to the computer now. I don't have to be able to spell. I don't have to
mm,
be able to be this great writer. When I started doing podcasts and started talking online, I said for 30 days, and this, I would challenge you, anybody here to do that. For 30 days, I'm going to post on social media. I'm
mhm,
going to post something inspirational to me because I don't know if it's going to be inspirational to anybody else, but I'm going to post something for 30 days. And for 30 days, they were the worst 30-day posts that you could ever watch in your life. They're out there. You could probably find them, but I was not good at it. And at the end
mhm,
of 30 days, I said, let me do 90 days. At the end of 90 days, I said, let me do a year. At the end of the year, I said, let me do 1,000 posts. I promise you, after 1,000 posts, it doesn't sound anything like those first 30 days. So get started. Whatever it is
mm.
that you think is your passion that you want to do, just start.
I
And
love
if
it.
you fail at it, just keep doing it. Keep moving on. I promise you'll get better at it. That's the way God made us. He
Whew.
made us to improving
Uh,
it,
all
right?
right, Dr. B, I love you, man.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah. You're
I
all right.
appreciate
You're
it.
all right with me. I tell you, I love you. This has been great. And I want to thank you again for sharing on the Deal by Me podcast. And listen, keep the good works up. You're awesome. Get
I'm gonna
work
have
done.
you on mine too. You're gonna come on.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you, Doc. Thank you so very much. I tell you, and there you have it, Dr. Uh, Brian E. Arnold,
That's
call
it.
him Dr. B, sharing with us today. And until next time, peace and blessings be with each of you.